my former boss, Shabnir Ali sir, the principal of Sargamkar College, Professor Meghna Kapuri Madam, my friend who was our student in the university, now teaching here is Siddesh, Raj, and Vandana ma'am, team ma'am, Raghuraj, and all my dear students. Okay. Sagarpalli, Sargamkar College, and of course not to forget Rao sir. So he was the principal. He was also my former boss. Okay. So Sargamkar College येतना दर फावटी जेन्ना साळगांवकर कॉलेजीन येता ते वेगवेगळे गजाली खातीर आसता केन्ना लेक्चर आसता केन्ना वेगवेगळे एंगेजमेंट आसता तशेंच हे फॅकल्टीज आमच्या स्कुलान येता युनिवर्सिटीन येता एंड आय समटायम्स फील दॅट साळगांवकर कॉलेज इज एन intergenerational project for me. Okay, is because I started this was my first teaching job, first teaching assignment here, and now we have students. Okay, when I went to the university, when we have students there who are now teaching here as a teacher. So this is a intergenerational project, and Sargamkar is like a homecoming. So म्हाका सदांच आवडटा साळगांवकर कॉलेजींत येवपाक इज बिकॉज हांव खूब जाणांक सांगता माय एक्सपिरियन्स अबाउट साळगांवकर इज दॅट आय रिमेंबर साळगांवकर फॉर टू थिंग्स एंड वीच कॉन्ट्रिब्यूटेड in making me a teacher. His first thing is an absolute free and liberal environment here. Is that you learn from your colleagues. You learn आणि Shabir sir, Rao sir, तशें senior faculty, senior colleagues हांगा आसा, they make you learn. ते तुका एक स्पेस दिता कामा खातीर काम करपाचें. I still remember एकूच वर्स हांगा आशिल्लो, but Sargamkar is like into my, is like a benchmark, because that year आमी सगळे कॉलेजीक एकठांय करून आमी स्टुडंट पार्लमेंटा खातीर आमी असेंब्लीक गेल्ले. आणि we all were excited for whole 15 days we were practicing. आणि राव सर तेन्ना प्रिन्सिपल आशिल्लो. And he made an arrangement की भुरग्यांक दनपारचें जेवण दिवपाचें. It was like a full fledged and we were all excited. आमचें प्रेजेंटेशन खूब बरें जाल्लें, पूण आमकां प्रायज मेळूंक ना. सो ताज्या खातीर आमी खूब निराश जाले. बट ताज्या दुसऱ्या वर्सा आमकांय थोडे मातशे एक्सपिरियन्सीस मेळ्ळे तातूंतल्यान आनी कशें जिखचें हेंवूय आमकां कळ्ळें. सो त्या खातीर दुसऱ्या वर्सा आमकां प्रायज मेळ्ळें, पूण हांव हांगा नाशिल्लो. द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टंट पार्ट इज दॅट की तेन्नाचे टिचर्स आनी स्टुडंट्सांनी म्हाका त्या पद्दतीन फोन करून सांगलें, म्हाका परत हांगा आपयलो, एंड आय वॉज लायक अ पार्ट ऑफ अ फॅमिली. सो इट इज वन दॅट इज हाव एज्युकेशनल इन्स्टिट्यूशन्स शूड बी. It's like Sargamkar is an example for that, and this is my experience with the college. Secondly, it's something with the character of the education, the kind of education that we deliver here is making lawyers. And the first thing that what we teach in terms of making of a lawyer is to teach them how to fight, is how to argue, and getting into a class of 50 potential lawyers is a training program for a teacher. So I miss this kind of a rigor in a university, and that's why I remember a professional education, a professional college like Sargamkar. Well, जेन्ना हांव हांगा आशिल्लो तेन्ना आमी अशेंच तरेचे इव्हेंट ऑर्गनायज करताले. And I was just talking to Kim Naik, and we were that time organizing this logical, and it was an inter-collegiate event of education competition. So, आजच्या ह्या वेळार हांव तुमकां आनी कांय गजाली सांगून बोर करचो ना. हांव फक्त तुमच्यो गजाली तुमकां तुमच्या पद्दतीन सांगपाचो प्रयत्न करतलो. And I am not taking more than 10 minutes of your life, because this is, I know, a 30-second reel generation. Beyond 30 seconds, it is all gyan. Right? I mean, अशे तरेन खूब जाण सांगतात की म्हाका जर मॅडमीन सांगलें की भुरग्यांक सांगिल्लें तूं येवपाचो आसा आनी कोणूच तुका वळखना. आय थिंक दॅट्स फायन बिकॉज दिस इज अ जेन झी जनरेशन. दिस इज अ जेन झी जनरेशन आनी हें म्हाका खूब अशें क्रिटिकल परिस्थितींतल्यान कळ्ळें की पयर हांव भुरग्यांक एक्सप्लेन करतालो इज अबाउट सम इकॉनॉमिक एस्पेक्ट and I was continuously making a point that we millennials, and one student of mine took it offense and said, sir, you might be a millennial, we are not, we are Gen Z kids. And I think this generational shift is something that we need to look at it in a deeper way. And I feel that this generation, that I also need to खूप असं गाणतो म्हणजे काय सुद्धा मी पुढे वाचतो. So what I feel that this Gen Z generation is far more sensitive to certain things that we were not. Like for example, आमच्या क्लासान जर कोणेनूय क्लायमेटा बाबतींत जर कितें उलयलें, पर्यावरणाच्या बाबतींत जर कितें उलयलें, आमी ताका फकाणां मारतले कितें रे सगळ्या उलयता. But today, Gen Zs are far more sensitive about certain things. We never thought that the LGBTQ issue would be discussed in a Supreme Court somewhere, and which will be part of a public discourse. आम्ही अजूनही फकाणा करतोय आमच्या जनरेशनात, but this generation is sensitive. Yes. Now, point is that हांव तुका एक प्रश्न विचारता. I'll ask you a very simple question, a general knowledge question. Okay. From KG to PG, Balwadi to PG, that including the PhDs. As या देशात शाळेत वचपी, कॉलेजीत वचपी, युनिव्हर्सिटीत वचून शिकपी भुरग्यांची संख्या किती देशात? Anybody? Goa's population is 17 lakhs, right? Right? And out of that, 33% is in higher education today. That is UP. अशी गोंयांत अशी देशांत संख्या कितली आसा? Anybody, any guesses? It's 44 crores. It's a 44 crores. You know what is 45 crores? What is the population of United States? 33 crores. Which is one United States and half is studying in the colleges and the schools of India at this point of time. What is the population of United Kingdom? 6 crores. 6 crores. That means 8 United Kingdom, size of an 8 United Kingdom, is studying in the schools and colleges. So आज जर तुमचे जर पॉप्युलेशन जर आम्ही नदरेन हाडले, पर्स्पेक्टिवान हाडले, you are larger than the United States, way larger than the United States. Now this is on the cusp of a history. That is 60% of this population, we are the world's largest country, is below the age of 35. That is you and me, right? Yes, but we need to also take into consideration the human development index. We lag pathetically behind like a country like Zimbabwe, like Pakistan, which is counted through a basic education, your infant mortality, and the rate of education. Point is that you have two choices. I'm not talking about administration or anybody. You as a responsible citizen of this 44, of this startup of 44 crores. If you do not give this population a right kind of education, a right health care, and what China did was that give them a full security, proper education, proper health care. And today you see with the control of Chinese population, China's population is getting old, but it is productive. From 10 years onwards, we will enter into a phase what China was in 1970s or 80s. This is called a demographic dividend, what China did, what China achieved. But if you do not give this population with the right kind of an education and a health care, we will turn into a demographic disaster. So you have to bring these things in perspective and think. Like for example, we are all product of an NEP, right? Which is a new education policy. Yes or no? But आज सांगायला तर कोणा बोले सांगले न्यू एज्युकेशन पॉलिसीचे होलिस्टिकली पद्धतीने आम्ही उलोवपाक तयार आसा. To be very frank, being a professor, I am saying no. It's because की ज्या पद्धतीन काय गजालींचेर चर्चा जावपाक जाय. This is not something to do with a third party. This is something to do with your future, our future. It's a combined future. And this is what NEP talks about, overhauling of education, how we look at the education. एक गजाल तुमकां सांगता, the way the world is changing, and you need to understand this change. Like for example, आज आमच्याकडे वेगवेगळे टेक्नॉलॉजी आणि कम्युनिकेशन्स आसा. But understand one thing, that how this market operates. Do you know something called oligopoly? What is oligopoly? You know monopoly, right? Monopoly is a one actor domination. It's an economic concept, right? हमें आया कहते हैं monopoly समझ. What is oligopoly? It's a domination of a few individuals or the few actors. Sorry, not an individual. Now, what is this oligopoly is all about? And if you understand the way these actors have emerged, then you will understand the changing nature of the world and think where we are. Have you ever come across this term called GAFAM? GAFAM. GAFAM. Any time? G for Google. Okay. A for Amazon. F for Facebook. Okay. Amazon and Microsoft. If you take this GAFAM and compare the G20, which we are talking about, then this GAFAM would be in the first 15 countries if you compare their market cap with the GDP nominal of the G20 economies. Now, what is the size of Indian economy? 3 trillion, right? Yes. About 5 trillion we want to be. Okay. Inshallah. Okay. 5 trillion is what we want to be. Okay. I mean India's economy is 1.9, it's 2 trillion. Sorry. The market cap, sorry, 3 trillion is India's economy. I'm sorry, I'm really confused because a lot of G20 is going on since morning. Okay. The market cap of Apple is 2 trillion, almost close to a size of India. Which is the smallest site here, or the smallest firm, is of Facebook, which has a market cap of around 750 billion, not billion. Sabse garib. Okay. And if you compare the largest conglomerate of India with the market cap of a Facebook, which is a Reliance Industry, which net cap is a 200 billion. So Facebook is almost 4 times bigger than the largest industrial conglomerate in India. Now, these are the players who challenge the authority of a nation state, who control our data and day-to-day life, and which no state in the world has a capacity to control this oligopoly. Now, this oligopoly is not a legacy business. This oligopoly has emerged out of a disruption which made internet a public space. And now, if I ask you the question, is that does GAFAM has a replacement? And that's the point we need to talk about. Is that there is no credible alternative to a originality. Today, what India is the largest market. But India is not known for innovations. Like for example, we have some around 110 unicorns, right? You know unicorns, right? Now this is the Shark generation, that is Shark Tank generation, right? Unicorn is something that is an individual company worth $1 billion. I mean, point is that most of our unicorns is not through innovation. Like you have a Uber outside, in India you have a Ola. You have a Zomato somewhere, the Indian alternative is Swiggy. But the point is that we have not really innovated and influenced the culture. And this is what NEP talks about. To get a radical change in terms of how we think and how we see the world. And I think the skills is a kind of a thrust area of an NEP. Like for example, you had a Chandrayaan landing other day, the Vikram landed on the moon. And now that you have rover has walked around 8 meters, right? But one point is that since I am in a law college, we are discussing this topic, is that there is a discussion in an international relations that why the landings, soft landings on the moon have failed. Why there is no consistency in terms of a success rate of soft landings on the moon. Now you would say, sir, this is something to do with the space technology, space research. But what if I say that this has something to do deeply with the subject of law? Is that in 70s and 80s, we started talking about weaponization of a space. Then you had various treaties, regimes coming up, which started saying that space will be not weaponized, okay, space will be not securitized, and that's why there was a limited interest as far as space is concerned. Now entire debate has changed from a weaponization of a space to a civilization of a space. And today, if you want to carry out the research, space is not a part of our common goals, like environment is. So there is no attention given to bring the space under the ambit of a public international law. Like for example, there is the issue of a space base, the debris that satellites create. So we should consider that space as a common good. Now this is something completely interdisciplinary. That if you do not have attention of law, you cannot have a greater space research. Now this is a reality. And this is what NEP talks about. To have a multidisciplinary, multi-dimensional approach to the changing world. And to conclude this, is that you need to understand one thing. We consider this internet to be a free space, right? Isn't it? There are only two things, okay, in terms of a businesses where consumers are not called as consumers, but they are called as users. One is a drugs. You cannot call somebody as a drug consumer, no? It's a drug user. And there's no internet consumer. There's internet user, social media user. And if you want to understand how this oligopoly works, is that a very small example. And it also gives the sense in economics where we are placed. The largest phone manufacturer today, which is the company which manufactures the largest phone, most profitable one, expensive one, which is the one? Come on. Apple, right? Everybody would say Apple. And it is, right? Is there a replacement for an Apple? Is there a replacement for an Apple? Nothing. No. Right? But the point is that, and I'll conclude here, the largest manufacturer, largest phone producer, doesn't have its own manufacturing plant. Okay? Like for example, they have a Foxconn plant which manufactures iPhone for Apple. Okay? They're licensed product. Okay? And this is what this economy is based on. Is that you license the knowledge. This phone is manufactured though in India, but it's not manufactured in India, it is assembled in India. So all the parts comes from outside, all the technology comes from outside, and you just assemble it. You have a choice that whether you want to be a largest market or you want to be somebody like Japan, where the world wants to go for a knowledge industry. Today the knowledge is power. Your algorithm is power. And the point is that whenever every time you scroll through your stories, like for example, you had something called, before the reels came, you had something called, what is that was banned in India? TikTok, right? TikTok. I mean, what was TikTok? I mean, TikTok was invented by a Chinese guy, banned in China. Okay, the largest market was India. Okay, this gives you a IQ sense, the standard of an IQ of an Indian mind. But it's a reality. We make businesses for it. And after that, after the banning of TikTok, all the kachra has come to the Instagram. No? So the point is, there's lot of content available, but not creativity. That we are consuming the content which is substandard, and we are not creating any original things. At this, I would like to end it here, is because it's not for anybody else, it's not for your parents, it's not for government that we live under, it's not for your college. Point is that to survive in this world, the choice is yours. How you want to see the world and how you want to make this world for you. With this, I congratulate all the people here.